Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to season 2 of the show that we did not forget about, although we took quite the sabbatical. I am Jackson.
Good morning. My name is Carmela.
It's not morning time, it's the afternoon.
What if it's morning for them?
This is true. They could be listening to this whenever, and maybe you're listening to this right after the end of season 1, or maybe you're someone who catches these right when they come out, but you don't want to miss it. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We got 1 view last month on YouTube.
Woo!
Can you believe that?
No.
Anyways, we've missed doing this. We've had quite the summer. There's a lot to catch up on. But this first episode is going to be dedicated to something that happened quite recently. Usually at the beginning of episodes, I sit across from you and I ask, what happened the past week? Because we do these weekly. But I feel like we both have an idea of what we want to talk about today, which is what happened the other night, Carmela?
Well, as I do, I fly home to Florida.
With anyone?
Sometimes you come with me. However,
True.
I tend to go alone from time to time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why wasn't I invited this time?
Well, because my best friend is getting married and we had her bridal shower and it was girls only.
Oh,
so
girl things.
You would have been stuck at home the whole time anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
With
I
the
could have
cats.
hang out with Joe.
He was at work.
Oh, okay. Then never mind then.
Yeah, so I've been flying alone since I was a youngin'. I've been flying since I was probably 4 or 5. Because
Straight out the womb.
Yeah.
Straight out the womb, you just hopped on a plane and said, I'll take 24C, please.
Maybe even younger than that, because my family lives a flying distance away from me.
How can you be younger than the womb?
No, I was talking about like what I had previously said 2 seconds before that.
Oh, I thought you were responding to me, and I was
No.
like, oh, since the womb.
No.
What comes before the womb?
A seedling.
Preconception.
But yeah, so I've been flying longer than I can remember, and I believe probably longer than most humans. And I have always flown with my family, and then probably around the time I was 8, I started flying alone, just because I wanted to go see my grandparents. And I've never had an issue with Southwest Airlines.
Pretty much, you haven't had an issue with flying until you and I met.
That's
Maybe
not
I'm just
true.
bad luck. Oh, what?
I had a pretty rough flight one time.
Oh. As bad as the one that we had from Florida back to Boston?
I didn't get home until 4 a.m., so that'll tell you.
Ooh, okay, continue.
But recently, since I've moved up to New England, I've had a couple of rough goes, and all with different airlines, so it's not even just one airline's fault, it's just flying in general.
R.I.P. says
Rip Spirit.
Spirit Airlines. We were the nail in the coffin for
Really,
Spirit.
for real.
Our flight was so horrible, Spirit was like,
They're just like, we can't come
"There's
back
no
from that.
point. We cannot recover from this.
So I'll tell the story of the first one last year. This was in December?
November.
I flew alone to Florida. I was going to permaculture with my friends and surprising them all. It was the first time I flew home since I moved. So it had been about, what was that, 4 months?
Yeah.
5 months?
You told this story before, but definitely retell it again because
Okay.
it'll be valuable context for what happened this time.
Yeah. So my flight, I had a layover in Atlanta. So I flew from... I flew from...
I flew from. I took the flu from on the plane.
So I flew...
Oh my god!
I flew from the Orlando.
You're really struggling. You okay? We don't record this podcast for a really long time. You just really can't speak anymore.
I flew from Orlando International Airport.
MCO, baby.
To Atlanta.
Hotlanta, baby.
Do you know that abbreviation?
ATL?
Yes. And then I got stuck in Atlanta overnight because they just kept delaying my flight. And then they were just like, yeah, you know what? F you guys. You're here until the morning time. I just misspoke again, BT dubs.
You'll heal.
I heal until the
heal
morning
until
time.
the morning time. So how long, in total, how long were you stuck at Atlanta because of the flight being misplaced?
I think it was about 10 hours from what I remember because it was a later flight anyway. And then it just got delayed until probably it was pretty early in the morning.
It was 8 8 a.m.
Yeah, something like that.
Because you were supposed. Because I remember I was at a Bruins game.
Yeah.
And I was in Boston, and I took the train back with Landon and Cohen back to where we live.
Yeah.
And then I originally was going to then immediately hop in the car and drive back to Boston to pick you up at Logan. Because I think your flight was supposed to leave at like 10 something or whatever, and I was supposed to be there close to midnight or a little after midnight.
Right.
And then
it just kept delaying. And then we were like, oh, I'm so sorry. You'll have to come get me at 2 a.m. now. And then it just kept getting pushed. And then they just canceled it. And looking back now, I'm really glad they just canceled it and gave me a final answer.
Right. Because it wasn't like they weren't just like holding on there like, oh, it's just going to be, another 10 minutes, another 15 minutes.
Right now. It was just like, yeah, here's a couple delays. All right, good night.
Well, and didn't they offer you a hotel or whatever?
Yeah, so they offered food vouchers and hotels, which was awesome. However, I would have been at the hotel for 2 hours, and I just didn't want to. That was not worth it to me. But I did use one of the food vouchers for breakfast.
There you go. Was it a good breakfast?
I think it was Dunkin', so it wasn't too terribly horrible.
That is a really great way to describe Dunkin'.
Yeah. However, this past experience was gruesome and infuriating.
I wasn't even involved, and I was, I think, texting you in all caps, fuck this. Like, I was pissed.
I tell my therapist this all the time. She always asks me, do you feel like angry at all? And I'm like, no, I am not an angry person. Like, I truly do not get angry. It takes a lot to get me going.
Have I ever made you angry?
No.
Like properly angry? I know I've frustrated you, but I don't think I've made you properly angry.
No, I really don't think that most people in their lifetime will see me angry. I am just not an angry person.
Fair.
And I get frustrated and I get upset, but I don't like yelling. I don't like having that built up rage. I just don't.
I totally agree.
So this weekend, I was very angry to the point where if I didn't shut my trap, I would have became a Karen. Oh. I started venting to one of the other girls who was in line in front of me, and I started yelling. My voice was being raised. I was furious. So I think I also was exhausted. I think that's a part of it, and very emotional. So I get to Orlando Airport around 7:30 in the morning, which means I left our house at 6:30, which means I woke up at 6 a.m., which is not horrible. That's a pretty decent time to wake up in the morning for a flight.
Right.
And so I go through security so super fast.
You went through very fast.
I sit down, I get all comfortable. This is going to be an easy day. I was kind of stressed about it, but I was like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to get home and I'll be fine.
And how many? You didn't have one flight that day, right?
I had two.
2 flights.
And I had been texting you, calling you the past couple days, stressed about it, and I was talking to my friends about it, and I was stressed about it, and I ultimately
Man, you were so stressed about this. You can't even speak about it.
Ultimately I was even-minded with it.
I feel so bad too, because I remember I was trying to comfort you and I was like, everything's gonna be okay, nothing's gonna go wrong. Because I didn't want you to be anxious about it, and you were rightfully so. I wasn't trying to eliminate your anxiety, I was just trying to help you, it's gonna be okay. And then it was almost the worst possible thing that could have happened did happen. Other than, I don't know, you crashing and burning.
Yeah, so I sit down, I'm sitting at the gate, whatever. It's about time to board. Everything is going so smooth. Everything's on time. Everything's going well. I'm like, oh, wow, maybe the only stressful thing I'm gonna have to do is speed walk to my next gate, and that's it. I will be okay.
Right, because what was the distance, the timing between the flights?
So I looked at the map of the next airport, and I was like, oh, I'm in one terminal, and I'm in the far back of it. I had to walk all the way out and go all the way back into the other back of the other terminal. Oh. And so I was like, that's going to be a little scary, especially because I don't know this airport. But I was like, I'm just going to book it and I will be fine. Everything's on time. We about to start boarding. People are lining up, ready to go. The pre-boarding is lined up. The veterans are lined up. Active military's lined up. All those things. Someone comes over the intercom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Great start.
We have overfueled the plane to fly to California.
First of all, What does overfuel even mean?
I tried to make peace with it, and I was like, maybe it's just less efficient because the plane is heavier. But at that point, man,
just send it on the way.
Like,
just send it on your way. I don't know. Like, I heard overfueled, and I was like, wait, like, it was like you put too much fuel in, and it would be dangerous. But then when you say California, I'm like, oh, that's a much longer flight because you're going from Atlanta to Baltimore,
right?
And obviously
Orlando to Baltimore.
Sorry, Atlanta on the mind from Orlando to Baltimore. Rather than Orlando to California.
Right.
But so they overfueled the plane.
Right. And so they were like, at first they were going to switch the plane. They were going to find another plane for us. And so we all just sat back down at the same gate and they were going to find another plane. I was watching the plane not moving and I was watching the clock and I was also between the Southwest app to see if my other flight was getting delayed. And then I was watching my current flight get delayed and I was like, here it is. And immediately I sat there and I was like, okay. I just reasoned with that. I was like, today is going to be horrible. Today is going to suck so bad and I'm going to miss my second flight. And I had that in my head already so that I wouldn't be like discouraged if I get to the other and I run and I miss it. Like I was just like, okay, I'm going to miss it.
I was at work. I was working at this point, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like I remember like I would be doing something and then I look down at my phone and I'd be like, oh, there's some stuff going on. I felt bad because I couldn't like sit there and be with you through it.
Right.
But you you had already accepted that today's gonna suck. Yeah,
because I have people who know me. I have excruciating anxiety.
I mean,
it is life altering. It affects my daily life quite heavily. And I knew that, and I know that, and so I just told myself, this is gonna be shit, and it's okay. Like this,
hey, which I think is not a bad. How many times do I do that a day?
For all of you that didn't hear that or might have heard that, he just completely abused his water bottle.
There is no way they didn't hear that. No, what I was gonna say is I think that's like the right approach. Not like, I don't think you're setting yourself up for failure. I think you're mentally preparing yourself and say, I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to be anxious and it's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that ability to kind of like accept it and roll with it and roll with the punches is great. But so the flight got delayed in Orlando.
Yes. And so we're at the point where they're like, okay, we're just going to switch the plane. And then over the overcom, we hear them say, ladies and gentlemen, at gate blah, 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 your gate has now been switched to blah, 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 blah. So
I hate it when they do that. It drives me crazy.
Every single one of us stands up and just books it across the entire airport to a brand new gate. And then we all just sit down. And then the other gate is told, flight to blah, 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 you're being moved to gate. So half of the people that were there before us get up and go to their next gate. And that was the entire story of my entire day. Do you mean gates I watched get moved? It was insane.
Because during that day, and this was Friday the 7th, right?
Yeah.
On Friday the 7th, and I explained this to you, I think, during and after this happened, but the Midwest had like this crazy air traffic control like outage or something. And on the East Coast, there was a bunch of storms going on, or like there was just this big storm system moving through. So naturally, a bunch of planes were grounded or delayed or canceled. The craziest part about this story that you and I talked about earlier was the fact that your first flight was canceled or delayed because of the overfueling. It was not because of the weather. It was not because of the ATC outage. It's because they fucked up. They made a mistake. And so you get then switched to this other gate.
Right. And so now I'm at this new gate and I begin to have this ounce of hope. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will make it home. Maybe it'll happen. And I keep checking the times and I'm like, okay, when I get there, I will currently have 20 minutes to make it from one gate to the other before boarding ends. And I was like, maybe I can do it. Like I'm the last boarding group. There's a chance I can do it.
Right.
And then I kept watching the time go down and I kept watching the time go down. And by the time I sat in my seat on the airplane, I would have had 5 minutes to get from that, when the plane like gets there and taxis, like from when the plane hits the ground.
When it hits the tarmac.
To when the other flight stops boarding, I would have had 5 minutes. And at that point, that was when I knew it's canceled.
Yeah. There's no way you're going to be able to taxi, because then the most frustrating part of every flight, getting off of the plane in time.
And I didn't mention this, but I had paid $33 to switch my seat so that I was closer to the front of the plane, and it was completely fucking wasted.
I totally forgot about that, because you asked me, you texted or you called me, or you asked me if you should do that, and I was like, what?
$33.
That's 33. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? Oh
Yeah.
my God, I didn't even think about that until
So that is
just
another
now.
reason that I was angry, because I spent money on a middle seat. By the way, this entire day, I took 2 flights and they were both middle seats. And on the way to Florida, it was also a middle seat. I had all middle seats.
You just love middle seats, don't you?
They are horrible. I actually, I
and you know who gets stuck in the middle seat?
But it's next to me.
That's true. And sometimes it's next to a large, sweaty man.
My third flight, I definitely was. But so I get on this flight and then we land and I'm like, all right. In the middle of this flight, I had Wi-Fi. So I was checking the Southwest app. I couldn't get text messages because there was no cellular, but I checked it and I was like, oh my gosh, they switched my flight to an 8 p.m. flight.
So your original flight was supposed to leave Baltimore when?
1:25 p.m.
It was supposed to leave at 1:25.
1:25.
And they switched it from then to
8:55.
So that's a 7+ layover.
Yeah. So that's, first of all, that was just like, damn, like I was right. Like this is it for me. And before I even got off that plane, the first plane, the second one was already delayed past 8:55 p.m.
So the second one, that was a transfer from the original flight you had out of Baltimore, was then already delayed. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
You know what was crazy?
What?
Is as I was looking at the flight board of like the long list of flights, that 50% of them were canceled anyway, I looked at it and I was like, that's the airport I'm flying to. Why does it say there's a 4:30 flight? Why am I not on that one?
And the one from Baltimore back here?
Yeah, there was a 4:31 and I was so mad that they didn't put me on that one, but I'm assuming it just was full.
Sneak into the cargo hold.
Yeah, for real.
Hold on to the side like Tom Cruise style.
So yeah, I was stuck at this airport for quite a while, and knowing that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk the entire airport. I'm gonna explore everything. I'm gonna try and use my time the best I can. So I walked the entire airport twice.
Nice. Were you wearing a watch?
Yeah.
Have you checked your steps from that day?
No, it could not have been very many. It was not a big airport because I walked the entire thing in 30 minutes.
Oh, good for
with
you.
exploring each shop.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Sightseeing.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I was at home just kind of hanging out, waiting for you to get back.
I will say the Baltimore airport has the nicest bathrooms ever.
Really? Like clean or like?
I mean, there were a lot of clogged toilets, but when you found a nice, like it was nice. Like it was like brand new. All of the walls were like glass and white. And when you, in like the stalls, there's no gap above or below the door. And when you walk in, you like shut it with like a lever on the front. And when you are in there, there's a light above it outside that turns red saying that you're in there.
Whoa.
And like when you're on the outside of the bathroom, it says 15 stalls open in this one, 26 stalls open in this one.
That's so nice.
Isn't it so awesome?
What is it about airports and clogged toilets? Like, what is it about going to an airport and dropping such a fat deuce that you, like, I feel like every single time I go to the airport, which, you know me, I don't usually use the bathroom that much, but when I do and I'm at an airport and I go in, no matter what, every stall I go in has shit in it.
True.
People just be dropping deuces.
Yeah, I remember I went to the bathroom twice the entire time I was there, and it was when I first got off the plane and then right after I ate dinner-ish. And or like it was like lunch-ish because I ate it at like 3 p.m.-ish. And I walked in the second time and it was like I opened almost every single door. I was like, clogged, disgusting, clogged. And they have a little review panel at the end. It's like a little tablet and you can click how many stars you want. And usually I just walk past those because I don't care. But I did. I put a nasty sad face on there. Because I was so pissed off.
I mean, to be fair, at this point, do you remember when you got to Baltimore? Like when your original plane landed? The one that got delayed?
1:30.
1:30. So you landed at 1:30 and you waited. and waited. But by 7:55, 8:55, your plane was ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Oh no! What happened?
So I sat in the airport forever, and there were terrible, nasty thunderstorms, and it was wonderful. I mean, I just had the rainy ambiance in the background over everyone shouting and being angry. And
were people really like that?
No, no, but it was really loud all day. But I sat in a wooden rocking chair.
Sounds comfy.
For 10 hours.
Not 10. 10 hours?
10 hours. One for each one of your fingers. Count 60 on each one, and that's how many minutes I sat there.
One for each finger. Now multiply it by 60, and that's how many minutes I was there.
We're laughing, but I was in pain.
A lot.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
So I walked around a few times, and there was this little shop that had like the food, and it was like this little marketplace. And I saw they had like kids coloring books, and I was like, oh, I could definitely color some coloring books right now, and that would keep me so busy. They didn't have any coloring utensils.
They didn't have like any markers or pencils or nothing?
No. So I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't buy that because I have nothing to color with. And so now when I go to the airport, I know to bring coloring utensils and something to do that's not my phone.
Well, you had your Switch too, right?
Yeah, but like, how much am I going to really do?
You played Tomodachi Life.
Yeah, I did. That's another one of the things I did. But in this market store, oops, I got slime on the blanket.
Thanks.
I'm playing with slime, guys.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I have my slime. Now it has hair in it. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
Continue.
I was in this little marketplace, and I really wanted something to do that was not a screen. And so I found these little fake nail boxes with some little like face masks. And I was like, well, I don't really want to do a face mask in the middle of an airport. And I already have some in my suitcase. And so I grabbed the fake nail box, and I don't usually wear false nails.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my thing. But best believe I spent the longest time. I did all the steps. I even filed my nail before I put the glue on so that it would stick better. And I rubbed each finger with alcohol so that it would dry out and the glue would stick longer, because that's what it says to do. And I didn't know that.
You had so much time.
I had the whole day and night.
You really spent the entire day at airports.
Yes.
And you didn't even get paid for it.
No.
You paid for it.
I paid for it.
Was it worth it?
And an extra $33. No. But so I did these little nails, and I even filed them down because they were too long for my liking. And I ate my lunch dinner thing and whatever. And then it comes time to leave, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make the most out of this. Last time I got a delay, they gave me a food voucher. Let me go up to the front. I'm going to ask for a food voucher. And then they were like, the employee turned to the other employee and was like, do we give food vouchers? She's like, yeah, I don't care. And so I get the food voucher. And apparently what the website says is 2 of these restaurants are open 24 hours. Dunkin' Donuts and Walmart. I mean, McDonald's.
My favorite restaurant in the airport. Man, we're going to go over to Walmart, get some cookies, some bread,
Yeah. Anyway, I walk my little butt over to McDonald's, even though I really, really don't enjoy McDonald's. And I was like, I'll just have some chicken nuggets and some barbecue sauce and maybe some french fries, and maybe I'll get a little drink. I walk over. The person behind the counter starts shouting, I'm not taking anyone past this gentleman here. We're closed. I'm not taking anyone past him. And then people still stood in line because we were like, F that. Like, I'm going to get my food because this is 24 hours. And then she was like, seriously, you're going to come up to the counter and I'm not going to take your order. And I was like, all right.
Is that exactly what they sounded like?
Pretty close.
That's great.
And so I walked away, and I walked up and down the food strip thing, and nothing was open. Neither Walmart, McDonald's, or Dunkin'.
Was there a Walmart at the airport?
No.
Okay, you're just manifesting. They should put a Walmart at the airport.
For real. A little mini one.
I think the key part of this story is that you arrive in Baltimore, and you are originally told that your flight was delayed to this time. And then it gets to be that time, and what happens? Like something it continues to get pushed
Oh my
back.
God. It just continues. And at first it was just the storm. Like things just kept pushing because of the storm. Like they didn't really give us a reason, but they said because of the storm. So it just kept getting pushed. 30 minutes before the flight was supposed to take off, I go and I sit at the gate because I was like, well, I might as well get the updates here and hopefully we're about to fly. Because I had stayed pretty far away from the gate just because I wanted to just have that peace. And so I get to the gate and I sit down and all of a sudden things just keep happening. Like, oh no, we're missing a flight attendant. Oh no, this. Oh no, this. Oh no, that. Oh, we need 10 people to check a bag, which they said for both of my flights. And it's always 10 people need to check a bag. So I have a feeling it's just a scam, but I don't know what they're getting out of it because if they force you to check a bag, you check it for free. So I really don't understand.
I looked this up afterwards, and I think it has something to do with weight distribution in terms of weight in the cabin and weight in the cargo hold. The only thing that didn't make sense to me is you then sent a picture, or you described how there was so much space.
So much empty space.
In the overhead bins that would have otherwise been occupied.
Right.
Like the plane is designed to have all of those areas filled.
Right. And it's like,
or you could have had it under your seat.
I've never heard of you having to check a bag at the gate until these past couple times.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's just this new thing. I also don't understand why they would tell you can have a personal item and a bag and then still every time force people to check their bag. Because if you are not expecting to check a bag, then you are probably going to put valuables in there, or you're going to put fragile things in there because you are going to be the only person handling it. So I took home a teacup, a glass teacup and a glass plate from my best friend's wedding shower.
Yeah.
God forbid I had put that in my suitcase, because when I picked my suitcase up off that carrier, there were chunks out of it. Pieces of my suitcase were falling off because they were just throwing my bag around.
Oh my God.
And there's just like black marks all over it now.
And that was from this most recent time?
Yeah, because it was perfectly fine before. And it's just like, you forced me to check my bag and then you treated it like shit. God forbid I had something valuable in there.
That I didn't even know that until now. That fucking sucks. And that it sort of adds to the layers of the unnamed company. Wait, did we already name drop?
Southwest.
Southwest. Okay. The named company of how frustrating this experience was.
Well, that's like, remember when you called me when I called you when I first landed and I sounded super pissed off?
Yes.
I just like things just kept adding and kept adding.
I have the text messages that you sent me. And the reason why I wanted to read them is because of like the time.
Yeah.
And like, oh, it was delayed. So this isn't the first time you texted it, but we had like a couple longer conversations. So I'm just skipping around a little bit. 7:27 p.m. So already delayed a little bit. The original time they said that it was going to leave was what?
8:55.
8:55. Okay. 7:27. Just got delayed another half hour. Wait, JK, it was an hour. 10:30 departure now. And then we talked about how like that was what happened in Atlanta, whatnot. 7:36. 9 minutes later, another 20 minutes. It's the Atlanta special. Boarding, takeoff, notifications, whatever. Then you mention McDonald's and mention that they got closed. At 7:45, there's an alarm going off. Maybe some excitement and entertainment. And then a minute later, it stopped. 7:54 p.m. How lovely. Today's episode of Will My Flight Get Delayed an 11th Hour? I respond with, survey says. You say, no, because it'll get canceled. Okay. 8:48. So this is an hour later. Another delay, 11:02 departure. So that pushes us back another half hour. And then I asked what the ETA is for you arriving in New England. And you said 12:38, which is way past the original ETA that you had. And then 8:54, so 10 minutes later, 11:08 departure, 6 minutes more. 9:03, another delay, 11:20 departure. So that's 12 minutes more. So that was 9:04. 9:15 p.m., 8 more minutes. At this point, most of my text messages are all caps and expletive filled. 9:18. So we were just at 11:20. 9:18, 11:33 departure time. 9:24, another 4-minute delay. So stupid. Just cancel it and give people an answer. That's what you said to me. I then said, I might even call Southwest. You responded with, feel free to call if you wish. And then I responded with, let me know when the next delay happens, which I don't think I processed in the moment, but was not a very considerate thing for me to say. I was just so like, all right, it's just going to get pushed back again. And then just that minute you said 11:30. They pushed it back 7 minutes. And then it went backwards again to 11:28. And then we started yapping about random things in the weather and whatnot.
I remember at that time is when I was going to use my free voucher, and it then got pushed forward another bit. Like I think it went back to 11:33.
Got pushed forward another 12 minutes.
Yeah.
10:36 you texted me, boarding in 30 minutes per chance. It feels like a lie even though it's probably true.
It was very much a lie.
Oh boy.
So the story goes, it just kept getting pushed back, and then they had to like do the whole thing. And then it gets to like 11:20 something. And they start coming over the overcom, threatening people to check bags because they said, quote, if 10 people do not check bags, this flight will not take off.
So you timed that perfectly. We are now going to get to like the meat and potatoes of this. People who are listening to this point think, oh, time delay, like weather, like, oh, it was just a series of unfortunate events. This next series of texts and what happened is like the point where I really lost my mind. And I know that you started getting frustrated and the people around you started getting frustrated. This is, now we're at 11:18. So we are past the point of when this like a new boarding time of what they said. Oh boy, what's this? Is what you texted me. They're claiming a, in quotes, time miscalculation. So it's going to be a bit before we board. I respond with, literally scum of the earth, bottom feeder shit. You say, and now they're saying they're going to have people involuntary check their bags too if 10 people don't volunteer. They're saying if 10 people don't, they're going to cancel the flight because we can't fly after midnight, which is true in the sense that if their crew was working after hours or they're working extra hours, after a certain time, if a flight crew has been on for like X amount of time, they're not allowed to fly past midnight. The thing that I shared with you is I felt like they were just kept trying to push things that was making that before midnight takeoff more difficult. It like almost seemed like they were just trying to make it like, oh, well, if people, don't do this, oh, we had a time miscalculation, oh, like yada, 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 we're not going to take off. As if like, well, it's not a problem for us. We'll just, go to our hotel or whatever and we'll stay overnight and,
whatever, yada, yada.
Whatever.
But I don't know if I told you this part, so I'll tell the story of me having to check a bag.
Yes.
So it gets to the point where they're calling Group 8, which is, I'm always in Group 8 for whatever reason. They hate me, whatever. And I'm the last person in line. And there's another person. So they're calling check bags. And now they're just saying everyone who has a wheelie bag. So people who had 2 duffel bags didn't have to check a bag. Just people with bags with wheels on it. That was the thing now. And so I was the only person. I was the last person, and I had wheels on my bag, and they're like, you're going to need to check that or else we cannot fly this plane. And I was like, great. So I go over to the counter where they're checking the bags at, and I get my little sticker slap on, and there's another girl in front of me who's also checking a bag. And then they start calling names of people who are missing. And so, of course, it's this girl who they went to go check a bag, and me, who they told to go check a bag. And they're like, Carmela, blah, 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 you're about to miss your flight. Please come to the gate. Carmela, blah, 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 you're about to miss your flight. Please come to the gate immediately. And I shouted from the counter. I said, I'm right here. I'm checking a bag. And I was so frustrated. Like you just told me to leave this line, and now you're telling me that I can't fly unless I come to the gate right now.
But you were right there.
I was right there.
That's insane. I didn't even know that.
And so I check my bag, whatever, and I give it off to the person, and I storm down the thing, and I'm just like, this is bullshit. And so the other girl who was also checking a bag right in front of me was standing in like the little ramp before you get onto the plane. And I started complaining to her because she turned down. She's like, this is stupid. And I was like, yeah. And so this is the point where I started to raise my voice. And I was like, this is so stupid. And I, this entire time, had a timer going on my phone because I had a feeling this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So the second I stepped into the Baltimore airport, I started it. And the second we got wheels off the ground on the plane, I stopped it. 10 hours and 33 minutes I was at that airport. And I showed her my phone. And then I just started to get ticked off. And I feel so bad for this girl because I just started ranting. And I started yelling. And I was like, this is bullshit. And then I get on the plane, whatever. I complained to the people next to me. I felt like such a Karen, but I was like, I can't. I'm going to blow up. And it turns out the lady next to me, as we were landing, was saying that like she had a rental car and that she needs to get there within 4 minutes or else she wasn't going to get her rental car. So she was going to be stuck there.
It's like ridiculous. And,
Yeah.
And there are probably so many other people on that flight that there were specific constraints for them.
Yeah.
You and I were lucky in that my parents live 20 minutes away from that airport. So I was able to pick you up and we were able to just go there and stay.
Yeah.
But for people that had plans, I mean, you and I could have pulled the whole like, hey, we had tickets to a concert, which we did.
Yeah.
That we, you know, would have had a hard time going to because of this whole flight mishap.
Yeah.
And I through the over a year of knowing you have really, I've seen you frustrated and I've seen you upset. I've never seen you angry. And hearing you describe this, I like wish I was there, not because I wanted to share in your misery, but just to see like what that Carmela fury looks like.
Right.
Is it okay if I continue to read some of these receipts? So, at this point, this was just after you mentioned the threat of they're saying if 10 people don't check the bags, they're going to cancel the flight. This was a couple minutes after that. The lady, and you're talking about the lady from the airline, just fucking ran, shut the door, and fucking booked it towards the plane. Can you please explain? So a lady ran towards like the gate door and was like booking it?
I don't know if I was just the only person who saw this because no one reacted, but I just was looking. I was people watching, trying to assess the scene, you know, figure out what everyone's emotions was. And like in between two people. So I'm sitting and the gate is like off to my right in front of me. And I'm just sitting at the gate waiting, listening to the overcom, whatever. And I look in between two other patrons and I can like see the door to the ramp to the airplane. And you know how there's like that little ticket counter right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the one standing there like making all the calls overhead and stuff. And so she was getting real flustered. And then all of a sudden, I see her just like pull the door shut. But before it shuts, I could see her book it down the hall. And I don't understand what happened because the door like kapoosh, like slammed. No one looked. No one, like, I don't know if I like just hallucinated this, but it was like no one like recognized or noticed it. And I like people looked, but like no one was like flustered by it. And I just was like, what the, like, what? Is there an emergency? Like it looked like someone was on the plane having an emergency. Like that's how she ran. And so I like started to get worried. I was like, holy cow, like is the flight crew okay? Like what just happened? Is there an emergency? Like should I be running the opposite direction? Like that type of thing. Like
it's gonna blow.
Like I was worried. And then not all of a sudden, a few minutes later, she just comes back like everything's fine.
Nonchalant.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
That's hilarious. You then I then responded with just what? And you said, I don't even know what's going on. I don't know why she would do that. 10 minutes later, you said, boarding started now. If we don't have wheels in the air by midnight, we have to come back and get off the plane. I swear.
Guess what time the wheels took off the ground?
I know what time. Here, hold on. Let's let the people at home guess. Yeah. People at home, guess what time Carmela's plane took off. Reminder, it had to take off before midnight or it wouldn't have gone.
So 12 a.m. was the deadline.
We're waiting for the answers. Do you hear them coming in?
No.
Was it 11:57 p.m.?
Yeah.
Wow, that one viewer, Mark, you got it correct. Give it up for Mark. Give it up.
3 minutes.
Give it up for Mark.
And I would have had to stay the night.
Give it up for Mark.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Nice job, Mark. Yeah, that's crazy.
Could you imagine one thing went wrong? One more thing.
The pilot sneezes. Hold on, I gotta wipe my nose. God
forbid. 3 minutes.
That's insane. Anyways, I then complained that I'm really tired. Oh yeah, so I had to, this is, by the way, Carmela is the one that went through the real struggle here, and I want to make that very clear when I move on to the next portion of this, I am so proud of you, and I love you so much.
Well,
you went
thanks.
through so much that day.
I yelled at
and you
people.
are so strong. It was kind of a really difficult experience for me too, because I'm someone, I have a really hard time sleeping at night. So I have to take medication for my sleep, and I have to take it every single night. And I've been taking it long enough that on the nights that I miss it, it really messes my body up. And the later that Carmela's flight got delayed, the more and more I realized I'm just going to have to not take my medication, because if I take it and I have to drive, I'm not going to be able to drive.
Right.
And so I'm sitting out at the couch. This is maybe 9:30, 10 p.m. And Jackie and I are hanging out together. And I was like, man, I'm having a really hard time staying awake right now. Like, there were points where I was like dozing off a little bit, whatever. And it hits midnight. And by this point, I'm a person of routine. Like, I am dead tired. And I know I got to get in the car soon and start driving to the airport so I can pick Carmela up. So by this point, you had boarded and you had checked your bag, and you and I were swearing and saying, like, all this sucks. And you said, doors closed, goodbye, I love you, whatever. And so I get in the car and I start driving to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm on the highway, mind you, it's like 12:30 at this point. I am not only exhausted, but my car starts shaking. And my car, as you know, my car has so many problems with it. And so I'm like, fuck, please. I don't need this night to get any longer. Like, the last thing I want to have happen is my car break down in the middle of nowhere at 12:30 at night while you are wanting to get home more than anyone else on the planet. And so I actually pull over on the highway and I get out of my car. And usually my car, the tire pressure runs low.
Right.
And so I go over to my tire on the right side and I press on it, and it's really tense. And I was like, shit, I think it's actually because the tire pressure is too high. And so I took like one of those things that you can press on your tire to measure the tire pressure, and I let out a little bit of pressure, and I started driving, and it drove like a little bit better. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to push through and we're going to get there. And the rest of the drive, I was like, my music was turned up almost as loud as I could tolerate just to keep myself awake. I get to the airport, I pull up and I park, and maybe like seconds after I park, I see you walking around. Like, it was actually pretty good timing.
I watched you pull in, yeah.
On our part. And, you know, I get out, I give you a hug. You know, we put your stuff in the car and we start driving out of the airport, and we talk for like maybe 5 or so minutes about like random things about how awful this night has been. And then for like the last 15 minutes of the drive, neither one of us said anything. And it was just like dead quiet. Mm-hmm. And it was in those moments I was sitting there and I was like, this is going to be, I said this before we got silent, but I was like, this is going to be an incredible episode on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those insane stories of like a day that just cannot end soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got home and we got ready for bed, and we might have crawled into bed like close to 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, way too late for me to take my medication. I did not. I barely slept. How did you sleep? Did you sleep okay that night? Or
It definitely took me a long time to fall asleep, and I was very fidgety and rolly around, but I slept okay in the morning.
It kind of took us that entire day to recover, though, because we didn't end up leaving my parents' house to come back to our apartment until almost noonish.
Yeah.
We get back here and we spend some time together and we do our thing or whatnot. And then in the afternoon, we're laying on the couch together, and I'm laying on top of you. We had just finished watching a show or something, and we both fall asleep. And I like,
which is like a miracle.
Yes, we never fall asleep when we're like laying on top of each other. And I remember I woke up and I was like, whoa, I was actually asleep.
Yeah.
And I said to you, I was like, do you want to like go down and take a proper nap? And you're like, okay. And so we come in here to take a nap, and I start getting really fidgety again because my body is still recovering from not taking my meds. Mm-hmm. And so I lean over and I tell you, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to go out there and do my thing. You slept for a really long time. Like, it was like a solid 2.5 hours.
Can you blame me?
No, I can't blame you at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like it took us more than just that night to recover from what kind of a day that it was.
Yeah.
And so I think we've gotten to the part of the episode that we need to say, Southwest, Come
What
on
the
now.
heck, man?
Like,
I will
what are we
say,
doing here?
This is the only issue I've ever had with Southwest. And I have flown, like, that was my family's airline. Like, we flew Southwest. I can't remember a time we didn't fly Southwest.
Right.
And this is the only issue I've ever had. But I've heard a couple people, like, since then, like, since this night that I had talking to people, they're like, yeah, I've kind of heard Southwest is going downhill. So.
Which sucks because Southwest was the airline that we flew to and from Florida on our trip in May.
Yeah.
And I thought they did great.
They are
Or
amazing.
actually, I guess I took I think I might have taken JetBlue down, which I am. So my family, we've always flown JetBlue for years. I have never once had a bad experience on JetBlue.
Careful.
JetBlue, I know. Oh God. Oh God. Wood. Here, I'm knocking on my base. My base is made out of wood, right? I don't know.
There's a door right behind you. Okay.
Ow, fuck, my knuckle. That
right.
hurt. Anyways, JetBlue, I've had great experiences on. When I was really young, we used to fly Delta, and I hated it. Delta's horrible. I would never fly Delta again. I would fly Southwest again.
Yeah, I would.
I would fly JetBlue. Like, I feel like for us, like, it's between those two
yeah.
airlines in my head. Like, I would never fly American Airlines or United Airlines. I hear they're horrible.
American Airlines was my first bad experience that I touched on in the beginning of this episode.
Was it really?
Oh yeah.
Well, Delta, and we're almost out of time, so I want to make this a quick story. My first bad plane experience, and of course I had to be sitting next to my grandmother. Bless her. I love her more than anything. She's an incredibly nervous person, just in general. So you stick her on a plane next to her, at the time, her only grandson, and she was obviously super nervous. Meanwhile, I was like, yay, we're going to Disney. But our plane got delayed. And we were on the tarmac, and we were sitting there for like 30 minutes, almost an hour at like the gate, just waiting to take off. Like, they're like, oh, there's some paperwork things that we have to figure out or whatever. Finally, we push back. And this is my first flight, by the way. We push back, and we are getting ready to go on the runway. And all of a sudden, the plane loses power. Like, just completely shuts down. And I remember I looked around, and people were like really freaking out. And I was like, whoa. This is cool. What is this? And like sometimes when you're on a plane, or most of the time when you're on a plane, they'll shut the lights off when they're taking off. This was like full power out.
Damn.
And I remember eventually someone, got up front and was saying, we're having some power issues, but no worries. Like, everything is fine. We'll be fine. And I look over at my grandmother, and she's like sweating bullets.
I would too.
She is stressed out of her mind. And as an adult, I'm now thinking in my mind, if it was like 10 minutes later and that power outage happened like while we were taking off,
scary.
It would have been a lot worse. But we were just sitting there. Like, we weren't even moving when it happened. Another like hour goes by. Finally, they get the power back on. Imagine how stuffy it was in that plane. Finally, they get the power back on, and we fly to Atlanta, I believe. When we get to Atlanta, we have a connecting flight. It turns out it was the same plane, but we had to deplane, take all of our stuff off the plane, and wait for them to do maintenance on the plane before we could get back on and then fly to Florida. After that, never had any negative experiences flying. I flew back to Atlanta one year through a thunderstorm. No issues. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
When I flew to France in 2024, we flew through a blizzard when we were landing in Reykjavik. And at the time, I was super scary. Looking back, awesome. It was such like a cool experience because we like broke out of the clouds, and then it was just beautiful Reykjavik. So really, if I think about like seriously negative flight experiences, the Delta one, which I was too young to really care, the one that we spent an episode talking about, which was our flight from Florida back to New Hampshire, where everyone was barfing and it was horrible.
Yeah.
So I've been a little bit luckier than you in terms of flights, but I'm thinking maybe we take a break from flying for a little bit.
Maybe
our next trip, we go on a road trip. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
New York
again.
Again.
We were supposed to. Okay, so that was the other thing we were supposed to do this weekend. Is we were supposed to go to New York, and that couldn't happen. Although we were thinking about canceling anyways because of weather, but
whatever.
I'm just gonna blame it on Southwest. Blame it on Southwest.
Sorry, guys. I love you somewhat.
You know what time it is? It's time for us to say goodbye.
Yeah.
say goodbye to Southwest.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye to this horrible day of misery and despair.
Say goodbye.
And say goodbye to our lovely fans.
Yeah.
We're
I
back.
think the next time you guys plan a trip, do not take an airplane. Take the long way home and drive.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, all right, Carmela's saying every episode she has to do the hook in terms of saying long way home. How the heck is she going to do it for this one? It kind of wrote itself in an essence. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
listening. If you're one of the viewers on YouTube, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. And we're back.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably.
Perchance.
Probably. We're probably back.
Hopefully. You'll see.
We'll see. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Southwest, if you hear this, I'm sorry, but I'm really not, because you brought the Karen out of me, and my name's not Karen.
Sponsor us?
No.
Bye.
Bye.